All right, everyone, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to buy REO properties with no money. Now, buying REO properties, or also known as real estate owned properties with no money, is challenging, but it's possible with some creative financing strategies. In this video, we're going to discuss some approaches to consider. And some of you also might be thinking, how can I buy an REO property with maybe an FHA loan, like a 203K loan? And we'll be covering that in the second half of this video as well, so stay tuned for that. By the end of this video, you're going to have multiple options to consider to buy REO properties with no money. Me and Paul, we purchased REO properties for decades across the nation, and we're going to take you behind the scenes and answer some of your REO property questions now. So let's start off on first defining foreclosure and REOs for people that are out there. And I could kind of go over high level and you can fill in the gaps as needed, but just think of it from a personal experience. You have someone who has a job, they're working, they have a mortgage, they're making payments, and there might be some financial troubles happening. They lost a job and now they fall behind on payments. They missed a mortgage or a second. And then what ultimately happens is that's the start of the foreclosure process, because that's when the bank will start sending letters in the mail after 30, 60, 90 days to the homeowner or the borrower in this case on the missed payments. And then depending on state and bank, months could go by and eventually foreclosure or sheriff's sale auction is set up. And this is the typical stuff you see at the county courthouse. The bank will publish ads in the newspaper and other articles out there to kind of notify the public of this public auction that's coming up on the property. And if a property then gets through the sheriff's sale and no one places a bid on it, then it ultimately goes back to the bank. And now that property becomes an REO. And that's what we're talking about in this video. I missed anything there, Paul?
Now you hit the nail on the head there. Basically, when the bank takes over, say it doesn't sell sheriff sale, they have it back. It then becomes REO, real estate owned by the bank.
Yeah. So now we have that kind of foundational baseline knowledge for everyone on the video here. Let's start talking about different ways we could purchase REOs with no money. And the first one we're going to talk about is partnering with investors out there. And first, why would someone do this is a question that comes to mind. And I'm thinking of investors. These are people with money that think they maybe want to go into real estate, or they already in real estate and they just don't have deal flow. So they have the money. They're looking to, invest in something different besides the stock market or bonds or just cash in a savings account. And they would like to, have potential higher returns or just a diversification with higher returns type of play. And that's kind of the why someone would want to invest in real estate. Paul, anything to add there?
Yeah, and this has been widely known as the easiest way to get in, right? You partner with somebody who has money. You have somebody who doesn't have money, and then you have your money partner, right? But that money partner generally is somebody who's working a full-time job already, kind of wants to do this on the side. As you said, an alternative investment makes more return on their investment, whether they want a flat fixed rate or whether they're looking for a percentage of the deal. A lot of times you'll see the first time somebody gets into investing, they'll actually partner with them and either do a 50-50 split or a 25-75 split, something like that. It is the easiest way to get in. And look, for those people that have the money, they don't always have the means to find the deals. So if you're finding the deals, that's what makes a great partnership right there. And that is the easiest way of entering into the real estate business.
Yeah, it's a great example. I'll kind of even piggyback on what you just said there and there's multiple structures too with investors. Let's paint a picture here. You mentioned someone with money that doesn't have time to find deals. That could be, a high earning person like a doctor, lawyer, et cetera, out there where they have a lot of savings. They got that full-time 40, 60-hour a week type of job. They don't have time to manage the property rehab, to find deals, et cetera. So if you don't have the money, you could handle kind of the day-to-day side of it. And it's best when you find an investor, just partner on one deal to start with. Don't create like a new LLC or anything like that. And you could identify what your roles are. If you're looking to find these deals, you find the properties, you'll manage the rehab, et cetera, where your money partner might just be a silent partner even and just loan you money on the property. And then once you identify the roles and everything, the next step is it a debt or like an equity type of structure where the thing that Paul described earlier is more equity, where you maybe split the profits 50-50. So if, at the end of the day, if a buy, fix and flip, you make $50,000 and you have a 50-50 split, you each get $25K of profit. And then the investor gets his funds back on top of that. The other way to do it too is more of a debt structure. Like think about the lender is essentially a bank where you have a mortgage and note on the property. And from there, your lender might charge, 0 to 3 points, anywhere from, call it, 8 to 14% interest, depending on, the creditworthiness of you, the investor, and things like that. Again, all negotiable pieces to partnering with an investor there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way of access, right? If for anybody who's brand new to real estate and wants to get in buying REOs, you need the cash to be able to close on it. So best place to find those partners, those potential partners too, is your local REIA, right? I mean, that's where we found them over the years. We still have relationships with private lenders that we've gotten through the REIA or referrals from other people in your local REIA. So great resource there.
Yeah. The next resource let's cover is, I'll call it more professional investors. So they're not your traditional banks like Chase, Bank of America, but they're hard money lenders out there. We call them also asset-based lenders or transactional lenders. And essentially what the hard money lenders and these asset-based lenders are is they underwrite the deal and not the borrower 100% like a normal traditional mortgage would be. They do this for a living. They underwrite potential buy, renovate, and resell, or buy, renovate, rent, and refinance type of deals out. And with that, they might charge, 3 points to close the property. And that's just like extra money you pay up front to cover the cost of the underwriting and loan. And then they might charge an interest rate as high as 15%, depending on your track record as an investor. So those are different companies out there that, we utilize them too throughout our careers. So they do add value. The cost of money is a little bit higher. However, think of it as a good second look over your shoulder. If the hard money lender or asset-based lender doesn't think it's a deal, that's kind of letting you know that this probably isn't a deal either. It's something I should walk away from or get a lot cheaper.
And it's key right there, Mike. And that's probably one of the best things about asset-based lenders. They're actually underwriting your deal just as you're underwriting it. So if they see something different, they're going to let you know, hey, we can't lend you, we can't do 90% or whatever it is on this, but we can lend 70% on this because we see the after repair value is this when you have it at that. We also see more potential repairs than you saw potentially, right? If for a first-time investor who isn't familiar with contracting, you're going to miss stuff that a seasoned investor will find or an asset-based lender will find. So, those are a great resource. And as you have experience with them and do multiple deals with them, they increase what they'll lend you, right? So right now we're on 100% with Kiavi and with Dominion Financial too, that we've used over the years. Look, that's why it's important to build relationships and have multiple different things. We utilize private lenders the most, and we used asset-based lenders the second most.
That's a good point. The next bucket of money it's actually your own money, but it's two buckets that people don't always think about. Like most people think about what's in your savings account that's liquid or your brokerage account that you can buy real estate with. Given the rise in home values, especially since 2020, and if you don't have one already, it might be an opportunity to tap into your home equity. If you have, I'll make up numbers here, if you have a mortgage of $300,000, however, your property's worth $700,000, that's $400,000 in equity. And a bank might write a home equity line of credit for you. They might not do the whole 400K, but they'll just say 300 they'll do up to. And now you have a disposable money that you could use to invest in properties on a short-term basis. I've done this over the years numerous times. I know, Paul, you have too, where, the home equity line of credit is a variable rate. It's usually prime, minus or plus something, and it's different for every bank and what your contract is. Tap into that money, and you only pay on when you're using it, and it's the outstanding money. So if you only pull out 100K of your 300, you're only going to get interest on that 100K, and you can use that to buy a property you want, fix it up, and then resell it, and then pay back that home equity line of credit once you're done the rehab. And that interest, then it's something that you pay, but it's essentially a tax deduction because it's part of the rehab. So that's a pocket of money that, if you're not already using, as something, just an idea for you to look into, especially if you own a home and don't have a home equity line of credit. And then the second case I also want to use that's different is if you have a permanent life insurance policy with cash value, that's something you can easily tap into as well. You can usually get the money pretty quickly. It's basically your savings component in your life insurance policy. Again, we just created a video on this recently that we'll share in the description. Kind of cover that in more detail, but it's another easy way of money that most people don't think about that they have when they need it to purchase a REO property.
And that's your cheapest form of money. When you think about it, your life insurance, policy, because what ends up happening when you get a loan against your life insurance policy, a bank is actually lending that money to you. It's not actually coming from the insurance company there, and you can get pretty low rates on that. Generally, you're going to be 5% or lower on that, anywhere from 3 to 5% on. And the second, lowest is going to be your home equity and line of credit. Those are just the two best sources. And Mike, we utilize both those on our deals, right? We utilize both those for a lot of our deals besides private lenders and the asset-based lenders. And that's going to be your easiest. Look, if you've got equity in your house, you might as well unlock it, take advantage of that, and be able to utilize that on deals. And if you're looking to pick up rentals, you could buy or renovate, rent, and refinance all day long. Just pay the thing off, on and off and on. I mean, it's a great resource. Both of them are. And the life insurance policies, the whole life policies are phenomenal.
Yeah. Again, it's not other people's money, but it's a bucket of money that people have that they sometimes just don't think about. So it's kind of sharing it there here on this call. And another way to we'll switch gears here is for REO properties, they're not assignable to contracts. Like you probably see out there people teaching wholesaling real estate and you're just trading paper. With a REO property, you have to buy it and close on the property. And one way to do that if you don't have money is transactional lending. So you could find an REO property, get it under contract. And if you already know an investor willing to pay, let's just say you win it at 80K, the property at auction, or you make an offer on the MLS, and then you have an investor willing to pay 120. Well, you could basically do a double close. And if needed, if the close happens on the second day, because different states have different rules on wet funding and dry funding. Again, we have videos out there on the channel on that if you want to learn more about that. The double close and the transactional money, which is usually lasts a day or two, sometimes up to 30 days, is a great tool to essentially wholesale an REO property without, signing a contract. So it kind of gets away that not loophole, that kind of gets away that challenge that some people might have on a short-term, buy and resell as is on the MLS.
Yep. And that's one where you want to make sure, just to protect yourself, that your buyer does in fact have cash and that it's not a wholesaler you're dealing with. Mike and I, we thought we had cash buyers a couple of times, ended up being a wholesaler trying to do deals. So make sure that they've got the funds, make them give you a proof of funds, explain the whole situation and what you're doing here. Worst case scenario, like Mike said, though, these transactional funders can go up to 30 days. And if you needed to refinance that to an asset-based lender, you're probably going to be able to do that, or to another private lender. So don't think it's the end of the world. Should something go wrong and they decide not to close last second, you still have other options.
And then lastly, from a lending perspective, is the Paul, I wanted to bring up the FHA 203K loan program. So, I'll kind of give the highlights, and Paul, and then kind of take it away from after I kind of give some of the highlights. It's essentially a government-backed loan for purchasing and renovating a property. And usually the loan covers the purchase price and the renovation costs, and it can make it ideal for a fixer-upper investment property, such as like an REO property. There's a lot more paperwork and standards, though, as part of this underwriting process with the FHA 203K loan. So your closing time might be a lot longer. I think me and Paul just sold one of our properties with someone with a FHA 203K loan several months ago, and it was a long close process, if I recall correctly, Paul.
Yeah, like a 60-day, generally you're running into that. It's not your standard 30 to 45 days like a traditional mortgage would be.
But they better see they yourself.
I work with somebody who did do that, right? It's changed and it's a little more beneficial now. And what it used to be was, so you got 100K, say, to purchase the property and a 50K bucket to renovate it. Well, it used to be when you're paying your contractor, you're coming out of pocket to pay him up, and then you get that money back. Now they allow for a deposit to your contractor, which is hugely helpful for people who don't have a lot of money, right, sitting around to do that. So it has improved a ton. It is a great way to do it. And not just FHA, but there's actually some other traditional, more conventional programs that do a similar thing to what the FHA 203K does, for sure. So there's other programs out there, more and more coming. And if you look at it, Mike, they're basically very similar to the asset-based lenders, except that they're literally offering you 100% financing pretty much.
Good point. So, that's kind of all the different ways of funding that we want to share today with you all. So if I have a free gift for you now for watching this video, and we're going to share with you our REO Blueprint. And in the REO Blueprint, you're going to discover 7 simple steps that you can start and guide you on your journey to buy houses at online auctions, specifically REO properties. Link will be in the description below, but check out that free guide for watching this video.